grew up around horses. My mom was a trainer, my parents owned a horse facility. I was born and raised on a horse farm. So as you can imagine, they were to my left and to my right. My real name is Lizzy Traband, but I go by Lizzy. Toby had a very instrumental impact on my life. He was actually an auction pony. He was very snarky in the show ring. He didn't appreciate it at all, but it was always so bad. I would fall off, he'd take off, something would happen, but when it came to performing, he never took a step out of line. And I don't know how he found that niche, but that was his job and that was what he was meant to be. So he was the pony that actually got my trick training and traveling kind of started. So instead of trying to show Toby, I taught him all these tricks and I rode him around with a neck rope, and eventually people started noticing, and that gave us the opportunity to start traveling and performing. So Toby is definitely a special pony. Whenever I was showing Toby, everyone questioned my mom. And they questioned that she was letting me show and she was letting me fall off, and I was falling off every single time I went in the ring. And you know, they were all saying, sell that pony, you need to get rid of them. And I told my mom, I was like, he's my pony, you can't sell him. And she said, you know what, that's absolutely right. And I think her keeping Toby and then us being able to find Toby's purpose was definitely a lesson to me at a very young age, that looking back, I realized what she was doing. I was very fortunate in the fact that my parents never viewed me, and even surrounded me with people that never viewed me as someone with a handicap. One of the things they did by surrounding me with horses is they surrounded me with things, that sounds crazy, that don't see whether you are missing an arm or missing a leg, they just see your personality. And it's, you know, they call it unconditional acceptance. When you walk into the barn, they don't care whether you're missing a hand or you have a mental disability. All they really care is that you're caring towards them. I can honestly say I never remember a time where I wish I was born differently or that I questioned whether I was going to be able to do something, which is pretty amazing, I think. The Paralympics has always been in the back of my mind. I'm hoping to eventually be able to be an internationally competitive rider, and that would definitely be 5 or 10 years down the road. I'm working towards some under 25 championships. Right now I'm 19. I have 6 years left to compete in those, and I have 3 years left to compete as a young rider, so I'm working towards the USCT Talent Search Finals, as well as Young Rider Championships, which will happen this summer. Not only am I riding for the Penn State team here and hoping to make it to nationals, I'm also riding at home, pushing so hard because I'd like to get the most out of my young rider career and my under 25 career. I normally get to the barn around 8 o'clock, on my first horse by 8:30. Given day, I might ride 2 to 5 horses, depending on what is on my list for that day. Some days we're jumping, some days we're doing exercise rides, totally depends. I normally find out when I get to the barn. One of the craziest things about our sport is you can ride until you're 60. A guy named Eric Lamaze, he's been in over 8 Olympics. It's definitely a progression and you want to tackle one thing at a time, but you kind of get into the mentality of always working and always pushing yourself, and that's when you get the results. When you wake up in the morning, no matter what horses you have in the barn or what you have ahead of you, you just have to keep pushing.